David Tafuri, former Obama campaign foreign policy advisor. David, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So President Biden set to issue more sanctions to Iran. If you were a part of Biden's foreign policy team, what would you advise his next steps be and why?
Well, there are some things to like about this prisoner exchange, and there are things not to like about it. And you never feel good when you're making a deal with a rogue nation, with a state sponsor of terrorism like Iran. But what you can feel good about is that this shows that there is some communication, there is some diplomacy happening between our two countries. And maybe this is a first step towards getting what we really want, which is to make sure that Iran agrees not to move forward with building nuclear weapons. That's the most important priority, but also to get Iran to back off on some of its support for terrorist groups in the region in the Middle East. That's also very problematic for U.S. foreign policy interests. Of course, there's also the benefit of getting back these 5 persons who were, I'm sure, wrongfully detained in Iran, who Iran had no right to hold in the way that it did. But you don't want to encourage Iran to take more people in the future in order to get things in return. And of course, Iran always has that opportunity because there are a lot of dual nationals, American Iranians, who go back to visit Iran, and they can be taken at any time by Iran in order to get leverage against America.
Yes, that is a major concern. Another one being how these funds will ultimately be used. So you mentioned this may create some diplomacy. That is good news. However, when we're talking about that these funds can only be used under the terms of the deal for humanitarian efforts, how can we ensure that that's exactly what they will in fact be used for? Iran's president has reportedly said that this money was unjustly frozen, and Iran will decide how this money is spent.
This is a lot of money. It's $6 billion. As I understand it from the media reports, and also you had Secretary Blinken, him speaking a little bit about how this is going to work. The money is going into an account in Doha, Qatar, which will be monitored by the U.S. And that account can only be used to buy certain things. And those things are agriculture products, food, and medicine. And it can only be used to make purchases outside of Iran and send those goods into Iran. Now, if the U.S. really does have oversight over the account, and it can ensure that only those types of purchases are made, you can feel pretty good about the fact that the money is not going to be used to sponsor terrorism, to buy weapons for Russia, to do other than nefarious things that Iran does. Of course, that means that Iran has other money to do these types of things with, but this money should only go to humanitarian purposes, and that means it is going to benefit the people of Iran, and that's a good thing. But of course, it has to be very well monitored to ensure compliance.
So what sort of precedent, taking this big picture, do you think this deal sets, and why?
Well, this is not the first deal like this. The U.S. has exchanged prisoners with Iran in the past. The U.S. has also freed up funds that were frozen in various countries. In this case, the money was frozen in South Korea. But a deal like this hasn't happened lately. And negotiations with Iran have been frozen lately and, amplified by the fact that Iran is engaging in more terrorist activities in the region. So maybe this shows some progress. Maybe this shows Iran willing to come towards the U.S. in terms of some of the things that we want Iran to do. And hopefully there are other negotiations going on the nuclear issue, because to me, that's the most important. We cannot allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. We cannot allow the proliferation of nuclear weapons to Iran, because then Iran could really hold the rest of the world hostage. So let's hope this means those discussions are happening right now and they're fruitful and could result in some sort of deal where we can feel secure that Iran is not going to have a nuclear weapon and it's going to submit to inspections to ensure it is not moving forward with a nuclear program.
I think we can all get behind that hope. David Tafuri, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.